and the Fusion Strike Energy are kind of the engine of this deck. I think they're really what makes it be able to have its most broken, its most powerful plays, and seeing those prizes really hurts for Azul. Taking a look at Mike's, we got two Marnies, we've got the Pumpkaboo. They're not going to be super relevant in this matchup, I don't think. We got a Bidoof prize. These are pretty standard prizes, but Azul's are hurting. I think one of the things, kind of going back to your point about how the matchup works, is that yes, I think on paper, Mike is favored here. I think you kind of build your deck in this way. You're choosing to play some of these cards specifically to be good against Mew, but I also think that you have to consider the Mew factor, right? This is the most kind of explosive, turbo, aggressive deck that we have in the format, and there's lots of times where if you have access to your Fusion Strike energies, you're just hitting with Meloetta, hitting with Mew big on your first turn. We're gonna start things off here. And looks like Mike is going first. Starts with that Arceus. We see the Darkness Energy. Now we're going to see a quick ball here. You see that Arceus V, the kind of, another big engine piece ever since it's been released. It's just going to spawn many top decks here. It looks like it's the Crobat VMAX being discarded with the quick ball. Going to go ahead and find the Bidoof. So this first turn actually kind of tells Azul a lot, right? If you didn't already know what Mike was playing, it's like, okay, you Arceused, you attach the Darkness, and you got a Bidoof. That eliminates a lot of possibilities for what you're playing.
You kind of open the gates up and say, hey, I'm playing Dark. I'm making it very well aware that I've got a pretty solid matchup on paper right away. And it looks like actually going to go ahead and utilize that Dark Asset ability. Going to draw up, and it looks like some solid cards there. Has a barrel for the following turn to draw more. No double turbo quite yet, and I don't know if I see any way to get an Arceus V-Star. Actually, there is one in the hand already, so a lot of awesome options. But Path to the Peak to start things off is going to be big here for Azul. Does Azul have a way to get the stadium removed? It looks like Chromatic, but a great way to start things off in Battle Pass means Pokemon into play, and this is exactly what you need with this deck. Genesect draws more cards for each Pokemon in play that is a Fusion Strike Pokemon. This is the best card to play on your first turn of the game in all of Pokemon right now.
Yeah, absolutely. This Path to the Peak is going to be important here. It's going to remain to be seen if Azul can remove it. If Azul can, I think we're going to see a pretty long turn as Azul kind of searches his deck here with the Battle Pass just going through and determining what prize. Going to find out he has 2 Fusion Strike Energy prize, unfortunately. But it's all going to be about, can Azul remove the path and start using that Fusion Strike system, start kind of doing what his deck is supposed to do as early as the first turn.
Yeah, so Stadium counts as a big deal in this matchup. It looks like Azul is opting to run 3 total Stadium. So going for the Training Court, which we did see the basic Psychic and the prizes there, as well as the 2 copies of Rose Tower, a very common Stadium we see to be able to draw things back up. But Azul smartly checking the prizes, I'm sure is not going to be too happy to see that there are 2 Fusion Strike Energy in the prize cards, especially as I noted earlier, Meloetta is a big part of how damage is dealt against these Dark-type attackers. And with 2 Fusion Strike Energy available in the deck, that's a maximum of 140 damage before damage modifiers, but you need to invest a lot in order to take some knockouts.
Yeah, definitely. It's already sort of an uphill battle when you have access to all the cards that make your deck work from Azul's point of view, and having those 2 Fusion Strike Energy prized is huge. We see the VIP Battle Pass get 2 Mews and then 2 Genesect join the board too, so we're just full of Fusion Strike Pokemon here. But there again, there's no abilities, no Fusion Strike system because of that Path to the Peak, so Azul just passes back.
Wow, and Mike, finding that turn 1 Stadium is a big deal. The only downside now is you don't have access to something like Starbirth here on this turn because you would have to remove your own Path to the Peak, which I'm sure Mike is very happy to not have to remove that. But the fact that a double Turbo Energy is prized, usually not that big of a deal because you can just search the one out of the deck. It will kind of matter here a little bit because you now just kind of have to naturally find that card instead of just being able to free search it out with Starbirth.
Yeah, we actually did see on the first turn Mike hesitate just a second before playing that path. Obviously, look how Azul's turn would have been if the path wasn't in play. It would, I think it's the right thing to do. But I'm sure he was. These players are always thinking about, okay, well, am I shutting off my Starbirth? Is that a big deal? You're considering kind of every implication to their actions they make. Looks like an Ultra Ball did find that Hoopa V we were talking about. And then we're going to see a Boss's Orders bring up a Mew before the Industrious and Scissors comes for 5 new cards.
Ooh, must have been looking for that double Turbo Energy to take a big knockout on that Mew V. Unable to find it, does at least find another energy card for this turn. And interestingly enough, going to go ahead and commit it onto the Hoopa. I really like this play because it means if your opponent is able to bump the Path to the Peak, you guarantee the double Turbo Energy for the following turn. There's no reason to just commit an extra energy onto a Pokemon that doesn't need it if it's just going to fulfill the energy requirement. So very smart play there from Mike. And it's going to be a big Chromatic flip. Do we see a heads? It looks like it is a heads.
Yep. It is a head, so this is going to be big. Chromatic, a very, very interesting card. So in order to use it, you have to discard another item from your hand, specifically an item, and you flip a coin if heads, search your deck for any card. So a very kind of high-risk, high-reward card here that I think is kind of the perfect sort of card for these Mew decks to play. They need access to certain things at certain times, and they're kind of willing to throw resources away if it means getting the cards they exactly need.
Absolutely, and paying off here for Azul, we'll go ahead and I'm sure grab a stadium out to be able to bump this path to the peak. As we do see, it looks like grab something like the Rose Tower. So we'll be able to draw up to 3 cards, and this is even better for this deck. You get to pretty much fill your hand up to 3 and not use a Fusion Strike system, as we are going to see the aggressive Boss's Orders onto this Hoopa. There's the Power Tablet, and we're going to see the Rose Tower fill the hand up to 3, and a great find there right away.
Wow.
The Mew VMAX, and this is where things start to get kicked in, being able to draw cards all the way to fill back the hand. Really has to be looking for that double turbo energy, but no double turbo quite just yet.
Yeah, so this you're seeing right now the power of the Mew VMAX deck, the power of Fusion Strike system. You know, I'm gonna bump your path to the peak. I'm gonna play my Meloetta. You know, empty my hand out, and I'm just gonna draw a bunch of cards. And then it's not gonna stop yet. We see an Ultra Ball. We see another Chromatic in Azul's hand. He's just figuring out exactly what he wants to do here. Looks like Quick Ball's gonna get rid of a battle VIP pass rather.
Yeah, and actually, I like this play here a lot from Azul, is opting to play the Rotom phone potentially now. The reason being you're going to be drawing into 1 card specifically, but opting to actually just go ahead and play the Quick Ball. Not going to be grabbing any basic Pokemon. It's just solely here to thin the hand out. We see this a lot. And just to quickly touch on this, Mew is a deck that seems very straightforward. You draw cards with Genesect, you hit hard with Mew, and rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. But really where this deck gets complicated is the sequencing. It can be deceptively hard sometimes to pilot this deck to draw into cards. And you see that a lot with some newer players who are struggling to really see how this deck is able to just draw through the deck, find the pieces. But Azul is a great lesson here. And this is a great game to watch if you're watching back on this, to see how Azul sequences everything in order to draw into the perfect cards. And it looks like actually opting to play the Ultra Ball and get rid of the Chromatic, really valuing holding that Boss's Orders in hand, potentially, because gusting is a very big part in this matchup.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing point you're making, is that I think we talked about how aggressive the Mew deck is, how explosive it can be, and I think it's very easy to shortcut that into thinking, oh, it must be easy to play then. And I think there are a lot of games with Mew where I think you just kind of slam an Elisa Sparkle, kind of do your thing, and your opponent can't really react. But I think that the key is that playing Mew well is very difficult. Playing it perfectly is very difficult. It's very decision heavy. You're thinking about multiple things every turn, thinking about what cards to discard. No, the tail. So the Chromatic, give it the Chromatic, take it away.
There, that is a big grab there. Finds the double turbo energy. And I think they actually need 1 more damage modifier, though. Or actually, no, perfect math here is at 220 because of the Power Tablet that was played earlier this turn. So has the knockout on this Hoopa. One of the biggest attackers here for Mike. It's going to be gone here on the 2nd turn of the game. Azul's going to take a big lead, and because Mike's not playing any comeback cards like the Galarian Moltres, it may be harder for him to find these late-game knockouts like we see with these standard Dark Arceus lists.
And so we do see that double turbo energy put on top of the deck, goes right into the hand. It looks like yeah. Azul just communicating what attack he's going to use, showing the Power Tablet. It's confirming that it was a knockout, and that was what was the other prize there? Elisa Sparkle, and I missed it there, but
I believe it was a search option for there. But more importantly, not grabbing any of the Fusion Strike energy off the prizes has got to be a big deal. Azul, I'm sure, wants to start slowly powering up this Meloetta each turn, especially if you've already got the energy on the Mew to be able to swing in. And that is a big turn 2 knockout here for Azul. Azul going down to 4 prize cards, and actions on Mike. Has the option to Starbirth, and is actually going to go ahead and start the turn off right away with Starbirth. I'm certain this will maybe find something like the double turbo energy, and this is a very common combo we see in this deck. Path to the Peak and Marnie could cause a lot of disruption here for Azul, especially after you've used the Technoblast attack. You're not able to attack the following turn, needs to find a switching option or a way to set up another Mew. So this is going to be a big deal as we do see those 2 cards. Grab the Starbirth. I got to imagine, Kenny, there's a lot of options to do, but you have to assume it's got to be some way to disrupt the hand here for Azul.
Yeah, so I think one of them was definitely double turbo. It looks like Mike had the path in hand. We're going to see what the other card is right away. There's that double turbo. Looks like it was a Marnie. You were right. You gotta start disrupting, especially hitting, like doing the path Marnie play really puts your opponent kind of on the back foot, kind of makes them have something.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking at this list to see if there's any way to recover cards like Pokemon out of the deck or discard pile, and there is. There actually is one Ordinary Rod, because the Crobat VMAX hitting the discard pile early could definitely be a big deal. Max Cutter dealing 180 damage for 3 energy is enough to knock out a Mew VMAX. Even if there's something like Oricorio in play, it's still enough to take the knockout, and that could be a good target to accelerate these energies on, as we do see Marnie being played, hands going to the bottom of the deck. Mike's going to get 5 cards, Azul getting 4. And we will see the Trinity Nova dealing 180 damage after the reduced 20 from the double turbo, accelerating energies, and actually looks like eyeing to, yeah, it looks like split the energy up, and I like this a lot, being able to slowly say to Azul, hey, you need to take care of this Crobat, otherwise I'm going to become a big 300 HP monster, and I'm going to be able to deal a lot of damage to almost all of your Pokemon.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, that Crobat VMAX in the discard pile, unfortunately, but the Ordinary Rod can get it back, and I think that Mike is really signaling, hey, you have to respect this Crobat. You know, this is what's going on here. I'm not just going to attach to the Arceus. And where action is now back on Azul. The path to the peak again, going to disrupt things.
Yeah, it looks like there's no way to get much in this hand. It looks like a Power Tablet, a few Pokemon, and a Rotom phone. So at least this turn, not much is going to be happening. We'll be able to play this Elisa Sparkle, get 2 Fusion Strike energy out of the deck, making sure to smartly select the 2 targets before searching through the deck. There are a lot of different Pokemon this energy could go on to, so we'll go ahead and find those out of the deck. This is also good that you're grabbing 2 here. You're not signaling to Mike at all that you have Fusion Strike energies in the prizes. Game knowledge is a very important thing in the Pokemon trading card game, and the more you let your opponent know, the more options they have to make plays and respond to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Very important to recognize that we know, and Azul knows what is prized, but Mike does not. So, again, that kind of mental game, kind of giving your opponent any information is something you really want to be able to control. We do see those Fusion Strike energies attached to a Genesect and the Meloetta.
2 great targets indeed. And here's a big Rotom phone for the following turn. And it looks like the Stadium was the first card there off of the Rotom phone, I believe. And yeah, it looks like may have a few options as well to work with. I have to imagine you want a way to get out of this path to the peak lock, as Azul will go ahead and shuffle the rest of the cards back into the deck, place that card found off the Rotom phone on the top, and that will be the guaranteed draw next turn. There's no other way for Michael to disrupt the hand besides Marnie, but with Marnie, you're going to be drawing to that card regardless, so it will be safe there for Azul.
Yeah, so this card's going to go right back on top, and I think that's just going to be it for Azul. Can't quite make out the hand, but he's played his supporter. No real other options, no abilities, of course, and yeah, just passes the turn back to Mike, and now Mike kind of in the driver's seat here. Double Turbo Energy immediately gets attached to the Arceus V. There's the boss's orders for the damaged Mew. Looks like we're going to see that Bibarel get activated here. And really, I mean, I think there's, besides finding the way to get back that Crobat VMAX, I mean, this is kind of Mike's plan for the rest of the game. He's just trying to take knockouts and kind of make Azul have to respond.
Yeah, that is a big knockout on the Mew VMAX. 3 prizes for Michael here. Azul, no way to take comeback mechanics again for both these players. So the prize race now in favor here for Mike is going to draw into another double turbo energy, as well as a Bidoof as well, so he can be able to set some things up later on. But it's really going to be on Azul to see what that card was off of the Rotom phone. It looks like it was, in fact, that Stadium card, so we'll be able to draw even more cards here with that Fusion Strike system being online. Modifiers are ready to start things off, and it looks like opting to, yep, smartly going to go ahead and use the Rose Tower to draw 2 cards first. Not the best cards. Actually, no, does find the Mew VMAX, and here we go. The drawing's beginning, Kenny. We're just going to keep going turbo, turbo, turbo through the deck.
Yep, drawing the max amount there is Azul with the Fusion Strike system. Now going to thin his hand down a little bit more. Looks like Elisa Sparkle. That one's obviously not going to be relevant. And Oricorio hitting the discard pile for Azul. That Mew VMAX was a big draw here. So what does Azul need to do from this point, from the 2 Fusion Strike Energies prize, from the board set it up as it is now, to kind of take over this game and, you know, hope to get the victory?
Well, to start, Azul needs to attack this turn. He needs to put on some form of aggression, so finding something like a double turbo energy could be a big deal. With the reduced damage, it's going to be pretty difficult to knock out an Arceus V-Star, so you are going to need 3 damage modifiers in order to get to that 280 damage. We already saw one power tablet be played, so just needs to find something maybe like a choice belt and another power tablet that will leave you with one more tablet in deck. We've only seen 2 played at this point, so it is 100% possible, but these are going to be some big Fusion Strike systems. Ultra Ball, they need to hand out, and a Rotom Phone could maybe grab that specific piece like the choice belt or the tablet. You have to assume a minimum attacking, but to really stay in this game, you need to take some prizes this turn.
Yeah, I do think there is a power tablet in Azul's hand as well. Not playing it before the Fusion Strike system, just kind of saying, hey, I don't want to give up this resource if I end up not hitting the 3rd damage modifier, as you talked about. We're going to see yet another Ultra Ball played, the Escape Rope and Elisa Sparkle. You can see that Azul is just trying to thin as much as possible. As you said, he needs to hit a very specific combination of cards here to kind of get back into this game, start taking over, and Azul's one of the best players in the world. He knows exactly what he needs, and it looks like he's got maybe a dozen cards left in his deck.
Yeah, not much left indeed, but that's all good for Azul. You want to be drawn through as fast as possible, finding the pieces. A lot of these items in this deck are meant to be okay to just be played within the handout and serve no purpose, which is not something we see a lot in the Pokemon trading card game. Every card usually serving its purpose, and while they do serve their purpose at one point or the other, they're here because they can be discarded, they can be put away without really giving up a crucial resource. So looks like we're just trying to understand the power tablet situation for this turn. I believe one has been played so far.
Yeah, he played one this turn, unless I misunderstood something.
It looks like players just discussing here to make sure everyone is on the same page, as Ultra Ball was played. Just to go ahead and thin the handout, no target being grabbed whatsoever. You see this very commonly. Ultra Ball, quick ball within the hand, get to 0 and draw some cards.
I think it can get a little confusing. I think I just heard Mike say, like, oh, I reordered his discard, right? He looking to the discard, trying to count, okay, has my opponent, how many boss's orders has my opponent played, for instance, how many power tablets, and I think it can get confusing about what was played this turn, but Azul did play that power tablet this turn.
Yeah, one power tablet played so far. Just looks like discussing things to make sure everybody is on the same page. It is important that the game state is clear, correct, and we'll make sure that that gets done 100%. But yeah, no target grabbed off of that Ultra Ball. Did opt to actually discard, or it looks like the boss order's already in the discard pile, I assume. Azul really prioritized not getting rid of that early. I'm sure it's going to be a card he wants to keep around later on, but we've got one more Fusion Strike system, and there is a Rotom Phone in here as well, so this could be a big Rotom Phone to maybe grab a specific piece, but you can see Azul thinking really hard about this decision. You want to preserve your resources, especially for the following turns, but you have to act now. You have to put pressure on, or else Mike's just going to start steamrolling here and run away with this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Azul is kind of in the tank here, just thinking, okay, how exactly do I want to sequence this? What exactly do I want to do? And yeah, as we talked about, Mew can have some explosive turns. It can take knockouts very quickly, but it can also be a very stressful deck to play, very difficult deck to play. Looks like the players might be waiting. We do have the table judge there confirming what had happened this turn. Yep, so it looks like we did get a confirmation that the power tablet was played as we said, so maybe set that off to the side or something, kind of make it obvious to both players and the audience at home what's happening.
Yeah, always being clear with cards that are played is a great way to make sure you and your opponent are on the same page with what is happening. As there is a big grab there, it looks like has option to grab the choice belt. The only problem is still missing the energy to take this attack. Azul's got to decide if you make a risk here. You've got to act now. You've got to go aggressive for this, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Azul does know how to play this deck better than I do. I would not trust. I would trust Azul's intuition here, but it looks like he didn't go for the choice belt actually. So he has a little bit different of a plan here. It's interesting to see how it's going to work out. I didn't actually see what the card was.
Oh, it looks like Marty actually got put into the hand. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and fix that here. Rotom Phone placing it on the top of the deck, as we are going to see. It looks like considering playing the switch into target, but with 2 Fusion Strike energy left, this Meloetta will not be able to attack unless you're utilizing something like a double turbo energy to deal some reduced damage. But this is going to be a big 6 cards here and a big find there. Does find double turbo energy. That means this Meloetta will be able to potentially attack. I have to assume with that switch, that's got to be what Azul is going for here.
Yeah, there is the choice belt on the Mew. There's the double turbo. So we're going to see a quick ball here. So I think the switch may have just been, okay, I want to get as many cards as I can off this Fusion Strike system here. I don't really think this card's going to be relevant, so I'm going I'm just going to go ahead and burn it.
Yeah, and this actually makes sense in the end because with 2 Fusion Strike Energy being prized, I think Azul has pretty much abandoned the Melodious Echo line of play for this point. So Meloetta just acts as essentially a Pokemon that can retreat essentially for free, or giving up resources that will not be too detrimental later on in the game. This is a big card that Azul has included in his list here that we haven't gotten to talk about yet. The 1 copy of Marnie, able to go ahead and put both players' hands at the bottom. It's very good against these heavy setup decks like these Inteleon engines, and can be very disruptive again against this deck that's able to just build its hand up. As we see this hand for Azul has another switching option in Switch, has another Chromatic, and also the boss's orders there could be a big deal later on. But being able to get the knockout here on this Arceus is going to be very important. But I actually don't know if that power tablet was played. It looks like it wasn't, potentially. So I don't think Azul has the modifiers to take this knockout. Could be seeing things incorrectly, but we'll have confirmation.
He must have just played it. He must have played it. But I think there was a lot of confusion about power tablets played that game. So. Or played that turn, rather. We do see the knockout. Here comes the barrel. 2 prizes remaining for Azul, 3 for Mike.
Yeah, that's got to be so unfortunate to now draw into those Fusion Strike energies. Those are just cards who can't naturally thin out of the hand, and that could be a big deal if Azul needs to dig through some pieces, especially if Mike tries to dig for something like that Marnie to disrupt Azul's pretty large hand size here. He's got about 7 cards in hand, but great way to kick things off. Evolution Incense will be able to grab the Arceus V-Star. Can't grab the Crobat VMAX right away, but I have to imagine that's what you're looking for, as Crobat VMAX in combination with Energy will be able to close this game out.
Yeah, and that's got to be what Mike is trying to do here. You can see kind of in the body language, it's like, oh man, why did I have to discard that Crobat VMAX on turn 1? You know, it was just the only real option that Mike had based on his hand, but I think can definitely come back and make the mid and late games pretty awkward here. So we are going to see that Arceus V-Star, and then we're going to see the Ultra Ball, the Air Balloon, and then the Ultra Ball to thin out the hand for the Crobat V.
Yeah, very interesting. If you are opting to play that VMAX, you can play a little bit thicker of a Crobat line. Dark Asset, one of the best abilities currently to draw cards in the standard format. We've seen this on Shaman EX and a lot of other draw Pokemon throughout the history of the Pokemon trading card game. And this is going to be a big 6 cards here. Actually, opting to draw first with the Bibarel. Using Rose Tower. Wow, yeah, so it has lots of ways to draw up here. And it's going to be a big 5 cards here. Finds Palpad, but that's not the recovery card you're looking for here. You're looking for that Ordinary Rod.
We see the Choice Belt hit the board here on the Crobat V. And now we're going to see some more thinning here off the Ultra Ball. Mike just figuring out, okay, what resources can I afford to expend? And we see an Arceus, and then the Palpad. The Palpad's kind of an interesting one. You know, I think a sign that Mike doesn't think this game is going to go very much longer. Might not get the full value out of being able to recur those supporter cards.
Absolutely, and grabbing another Pokemon to put into play. Has the Zigzagoon, so we may be seeing this Bibarel draw all the way up, and actually has a scoop up net as well, so can actually fit this hand down to 0 cards. And this is going to be a big 5 cards off this Industrious Incisors. And this could make or break the game here, Kenny.
Yeah, it absolutely could. There's a Zigzagoon. There's a scoop up net. As you said, just going to go ahead and reset the Zigzagoon, player shortcutting a bit.
And here we go. Finds the Ordinary Rod. Is there a way to search out the Pokemon? Oh no, has Avery as the only last option, but you have to bank off of finding 3 cards. Does have I believe, the energy in hand as well. Actually, no energy either. So it needs a few pieces to make this work, but Avery's the last option to draw. But Ordinary Rod is a great start. Can put back in that Crobat VMAX. It'll be interesting to see if he decides to put back in an energy as well, but smart choice to not flood the deck with more cards you don't need. You still have some dark energy left. We have only seen a single Trinity Nova this entire game, so this is going to be a big 3 cards. If Mike can find an energy card in combination with the Crobat VMAX, this is going to be a big time play. Mike will be able to close this game out. Otherwise, we see Azul already has the Switch and the boss's orders in hand, so the game will be decided either this turn for Mike or next turn for Azul.
Yeah, very tense moment here in game 1, about halfway through this round. It's all going to come down to the next couple of turns here, the next couple of decisions for either of these players. Looks like Judge taking a look at Mike's deck. Maybe he's going to go ahead and consult the discard pile. Say, okay, what resources did I get rid of what's left. And here we go. As you said, that big Avery.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain we'll see both Meloettas most likely just get discarded here. There's no reason to use this later on in the game. What is a draw? I mean, Path to the Peak, but there's just a big charm and nothing else. I don't think there's any options here for Mike. Can go into the Arceus and swing. I mean, you get to deal 180 damage with this Arceus. You can at least put some pressure onto the Mew. But we see already, Azul has the cards in hand, has the boss's orders, has the switch. Gonna go ahead and manual retreat. There is the switch into the Mew. The boss's orders will bring up that Crobat. And Azul is gonna go ahead and take a game 1 after a pretty shaky start, being Path to the Peak turn 1, able to pull things back, taking this up 1-0 in a pretty long game 1.
Yeah, it's got to be a disappointing result there. Obviously, no one likes to lose a game, but especially for Mike, again, your deck is kind of focused on beating the UV Max deck, and you have that kind of early, it just goes to show you how those early turn decisions, that literally, I think the first thing that Mike did here was quick ball away the Crobat VMAX. Obviously, he had to do that. He made the decision that based on his hand, that was the best thing to do. The Crobat VMAX did not come into play until, did not become relevant until much, much later, but it just can go to show you how much that kind of stuff can sting. How different would that game have been if the Crobat had already been in the deck? How we saw Mike play several Ultra Balls, just kind of because, right, to thin his hand down. Could have had access to it at any time. And then Azul, as you said, just a really rough start there. Some rough prizes for Azul, but kind of shows the power of having this streamlined deck, this deck that can draw so many cards, and just shows the power of how good of a player Azul is too. So we are going to set up. Players have about half of the round time, so hopefully we can get some good games in here. Maybe now that players know what they're playing against, can play a little bit faster. And yeah, it looks I think just a little bit more consistency, a little bit more luck on Mike's side, and that game would have been his.
Yeah, it just shows to show that a talented player like Azul can make those prizes, that slow start, all come together and work out at the end of the day. It separates the good players and the great players. Sure, every deck can function and play well with a good pilot behind it, but it's in those circumstances where things get awkward, when things get weird, when you don't have access to certain cards, that really the great players start to shine and go above and find a way to get out of tough situations. I'm sure Azul, and even Mike too, not to discredit Mike as a player, Mike is still a very talented player. But it just goes to show, if you're in a sticky situation, if you're in a tough situation, you can find a way out if you're good enough.
Absolutely. Taking a look at the prize cards here, we do see that Mew and 2 copies of Elisa Sparkle this time. No Fusion Strike energies, but the 2 supporters there. And then on Mike's side, we have that Hoopa V. Wow, just full of Pokemon here. A 1/1 land of Arceus, 2 Crobats, and the Hoopa. Wow.
6 Pokemon prized?
and those are all the Crobats as well.
Wow.
So this game is going to play out incredibly different from Mike's side.
What unfortunate prizes there. We'll have access to none of that Crobat line. Has a good start to the game, though. Is able to get the energy down at the Arceus. But if you're Mike, you haven't even gotten to see these prizes yet. You don't even know this is a possibility or an option. You got to be feeling, I've got everything I want on turn 1. I got my Arceus down, I got my energy. And I think it'll be with this next deck search where things get a little bit tricky. Doesn't have much in hand, only an Avery, but a nice Chromatic Flip here to start. Ooh, Tails, that would have been big to grab a Battle VIP pass. And with this hand, does it look like have a Genesect as well as this this Quick Ball to go ahead and grab another Pokemon. So we'll see some cards get grabbed, but it really just feels so good to get Battle Pass in turn 1. Cannot stress that enough.
Yeah, you are going to see, all of you at home are going to see what a Mew VMAX deck looks like playing without Path to the Peak and play on turn 1. We'll remain to be seen if we can get any of those Battle VIP passes. Those are kind of the big thing, as you said, that Chromatic Flip was unfortunate for Azul. But we're gonna start kind of the chain here. I don't know how many Fusion Strike Pokemon Azul is gonna be able to get into play for this first draw. But I mean, if you the thing about Fusion Strike system is that it lets you keep chaining. So we could potentially see a very big and a very long turn from Azul.
Yeah, and this is the tough thing about Azul's hand. You've got 2 cards here you really don't want to play and thin out. That Power Tablet, which we saw how important all those damage modifiers were in game number 1, and that Training Court, which is a stadium out to bump Path to the Peak. You don't want to play that early, but at the same time, you need to get through your deck. You need to find these Battle VIP passes. You need to get these Pokemon to play and draw cards. So it'll be interesting to see how Azul decides to approach this, and it looks like opting to go ahead and play the Power Tablet. So I like that card better out of the 2. We saw Path to the Peak really putting a lot of work on that first game, as we're going to see big couple of cards drawn. Oh, wow, Boss's Orders and Escape Rope. So can play the Escape Rope, but that feels really bad to just give Mike a piece he'll need next turn in that pivoting option for free, essentially.
Yeah, well, I take back everything I said. This actually didn't work out. Azul with only the 3 Fusion Strike Pokemon there. It looks like he is going to go ahead and decide to play the escape rope. And I think, as you said, it does give Mike that pivoting option. He is going into the Arceus V, and he's just going to say, you know, I'll just retreat back and pass the turn back. Still opting not to play that Rose Tower.
Very interesting, opting to not go into the Arceus that had the double turbo energy. And with this hand, Mike is kind of just stuck. I mean, you've got the Zigzagoon to apply some damage. I think the only supporter is Avery, but you really want to be playing that when your opponent's got the full bench to limit them down to 2 Pokemon. It actually looks like it was a Marnie, so sorry, those cards look pretty similar, but Marnie is good enough indeed. Azul's got to be happy, though. Get a fresh hand of 4 cards after that. I mean, you lose your stadium, but come on, that's got to feel good.
Yeah, it's got to be rough from Mike's perspective to have to play the Marnie there when you know your opponent at least, you know, doesn't have the best hand they could have.
Ooh, and it looks like Mike is going to play this hand out, assuming I think that there's a Crobat in the deck. Has still not done a deck search, as we're going to see Quick Ball empty the hand out to everything except a boss's orders. And because there is no Crobat in the deck, let's see Mike's reaction to this. I have to imagine is just saying, come on, I just need one of these to be in the deck to draw some more cards.
Saying, wait, so there's no Crobat, no Crobat VMAX. I have 6 Pokemon prize, okay? Interesting.
Yeah, and it's a big deal to stress that again, that decided to get rid of the Marnie instead of the boss's orders. The hand is completely unplayable for the following turn as well.
Yeah, I think this is a real sign, I think, if you're Azul, that something is up, at least in the way that Mike did this, just emptying the hand out and then getting that Bidoof, and then just having to pass the turn back. Wow.
Wow. Gonna go ahead and throw things back to Azul. Has the Battle VIP Pass, cannot play it, but it is a perfect target to get rid of with that Cram-O-Matic. And it looks like we're going to see Azul start things off with that. A big coin flip to maybe get some more Pokemon to play. It is ahead, so this is going to open up plenty of options to Azul. The floodgates are wide open. It's turn 2 for Mew VMAX. There are plenty of ways to attack, and Azul is going to take advantage of that, I'm sure.
Yeah, any card that Azul wants here is going to enter the hand from the Cram-O-Matic, and I gotta believe that it's going to be, I think the Quick Ball was the choice, so it's going to be about trying to get as many Fusion Strike Pokemon into play as possible and really start making this Fusion Strike system really work for you. And there is a second copy of Genesect V doing just that. So again, now we're going to see kind of the Azul hope to at least have a better turn than last turn, kind of that more traditional looking Mew turns.
Yeah, cannot stress that enough. Genesect is the backbone of this deck. It has the perfect ability to draw through cards and a great attack as well. As yeah, looks like they didn't find anything quite great right away. Does have the Mew VMAX and does have one more Fusion Strike system, potentially another one if he decides to elect another bench spot to that Genesect. But looks like Cram-O-Matic actually opting to discard the Rotom Phone. We'll see if Azul is going to be lucky again. And it looks like he is. 2 computer searches essentially here for free. As a little bit of luck on your side, hey, Mew VMAX can do anything.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's all you need. And I think that Cram-O-Matic just got a copy of Meloetta, it looked like. So again, just really, really valuing being able to have, for one, have those single prize attackers, but also just have that. Oh no, it looks like it was a copy of Double Turbo Energy, actually.
Yeah, this is going to be a big Fusion Strike system. Finds the boss's orders. That is a big grab in order to potentially remove all this energy. The problem here is Azul will have to bank off of finding one of the 3 switching outs, I believe, that are played in this deck. Gonna double check just to make sure I am correct, as it looks like there are 4. So it does have 2 escape rope, 2 switch, but is looking for that switch, especially if you're gonna bring up that Arceus. If you're playing rope, I mean, sure you're attacking, but you're pretty much negating the effect of that. Burning the hand all the way down, big 5 cards, one of them boss's orders. Let's see what the rest are. Is there a switch? Has a Cram-O-Matic, so could potentially find it off of that, but also Ultra Ball as well, so could find another Genesect. This turn is not over yet for Azul.
Absolutely not. This is kind of what happens when this Mew VMAX deck runs on all cylinders. Is that Fusion Strike system just allows you to go more and more and more through your deck. We see that Ultra Ball immediately played for that another Genesect, and Azul knows exactly what he wants here. He knows the best way to kind of work himself into a position to accomplish it.
Here we go. Oh, not quite. May have to go for the 3rd Cram-O-Matic flip.
All right, can he get 3?
I believe.
It looks like he does not.
And that's a big-time miss, but can still draw 1 card off of this Rose Tower. This could be a big 1 card. It looks like going to commit it.
Oh, just the Marnie. Okay, so it doesn't look like we're going to see kind of the biggest, basically game-winning option here from, or game-winning play here from Azul. Just due to that luck, looks like we're going to. Looks like Azul's really considering what's gonna happen here. Taking a look at his discard pile, looking at the resources he's gone through, really deciding exactly how he wants to play. You know, kind of the last decision of this turn.
And this is kind of a double-edged sword. You want to draw the switch off of this Marnie, but at the same time, your opponent got rid of a draw supporter and then grabbed not Crobat off of the deck search. You have to assume their hand is pretty lackluster, and a very smart choice to not get greedy here from Azul, passing things over. What's the top deck here for Mike? Oh, it looks like Ultra Ball can't discard 2 cards in the hand, so...
He does have that Rose Tower.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
So he uses the Rose Tower, draws the Arceus V-Star. No, obviously no Path of the Peak in play, so it does have a lot of options ahead of him here.
Yeah, wow, so that Stadium card opening up a lot of opportunities for Mike, able to draw cards in order to discard cards with the Ultra Ball, and just straight up finds the Arceus V-Star, and now it looks like eyeing up the deck off of a Starbirth, it seems, at this point. I don't think I've seen anything else get played, but we'll most likely have to flip over that V-Star marker, indicating that Starbirth is being used. Any 2 cards out of the deck, such a powerful card. This is why Arceus sees so much play. Consistent attack that's able to get energies into play, find cards out of your deck. Arceus does it all.
Yeah, it's really just, you know, Arceus came out and just really propped up a bunch of these decks. It is now kind of just the, it's weird. In some decks, it's not really, I wouldn't call it the engine exactly when you have things like Inteleon and Bibarel, but you just have this, you said it the best, I think, Ethan, just does it all. Just, it's rare that you find a Pokemon card that kind of attacks on both, I mean, I guess 3 fronts really, with energy acceleration, a reasonable attack, and that busted ability.
Absolutely, a strong card indeed. I'm sure we'll be seeing Arceus stick around for a good amount of time, as we are going to see the Escape Rope bring up this Arceus V-Star into the active. Genesect is the option, and we're going to see the boss's orders right away, as well as the Path to the Peak. So Azul holding on to that Marnie will have some draw power for this turn. It's already down 2 power tablets, so we'll have to expand the last 2 power tablets in order to take this knockout. What's the draw for turn? Alyssa Sparkle, that is the only one in the deck at this point. It looks like Mike most likely going to be able to draw into one of these Crobats. Under Pathlock currently, but the Bibarel as well is a nice grab as well.
Yeah, it's most likely that he grabs the Bibarel Crobat here, which would not be bad. Looks like we do see that boss's orders immediately played by Azul to bring up that other Arceus, just the V on the bench there.
And this is a great play. You don't have to use any of your damage modifiers. It's pretty unlikely that you find it. You also show that you bluff necessarily that your hand is unplayable. There's no knowledge that Marnie's in the hand, or even the Alyssa Sparkle as well, as we're seeing prize cards taken in a matter of minutes between both these players. Azul going to go down to 4 prize cards. It's on Mike now for himself, and there we go. The Crobat actually going to go down and not draw cards. So a very rare instance where Crobat is being purposely played under Path to the Peak. Really values, I need to power this thing up. I need this to be a late game attacker, because it could have won me the game in game 1. I'm going to prioritize getting that out here in game number 2.
Yeah, you really don't often see, you know, basically any other deck be able to use Crobat for anything but drawing cards. But that's really, you know, a heads-up play by Mike, just saying I need to, I don't care. I want this path to stick around. In fact, this is what I want to happen, and I just need to get this onto the board so that I can evolve it on the next turn.
Looks like I saw a Raihan in hand there for Michael. Could have the potential to grab any piece like the Crobat VMAX for the following turn. Your opponent just played a boss's orders, so it's very unlikely they have the pivoting option and the boss's orders again on this turn, especially after boss was played and Path to the Peak is in play as well. But looks like we are going to see that Raihan play, like I just mentioned. Energy on the Crobat. It allows Michael to find any card out of the deck. So it looks like we will see eyeing up a few options, but we'll go ahead and select. I couldn't quite see exactly what that was grabbed, but very decisive and very quick, so I have to assume it's maybe some way to get this Crobat powered up the following turn, or a way to even just draw cards since you are under Pathlock.
Looks like we're going to split those energies. Similar play that we saw Mike do last game with the splitting between the Crobat and the Arceus. A lot of damage on that Mew.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like there is a counter stadium, so Azul might have top decked that counter stadium, has a Rose Tower in hand. This could be a big turn if Azul wants to try to commit to find these last 2 damage modifiers. We know they are not in the prize card, so it is definitely doable, especially with access to 3, maybe if Azul chooses to 4 Fusion Strike systems. It's all doable.
Yeah, absolutely. That Rose Tower is really going to allow Azul to kind of go off here if he wants to. Here's the Elisa Sparkle. Is this the... Oh, no, I guess Azul did play that one Elisa Sparkle in game 1. Just didn't... wasn't exactly the normal way you see it. And this isn't exactly either middle of the game here. Elisa Sparkle. Looks like Genesect and Meloetta are going to receive these energy.
Yeah, seem like fine targets. The Genesect can be a pivoting option later. Meloetta, the Pokemon you really want to be getting these energies onto to deal the maximum amount of damage. But we are going to see that get accelerated out of the deck. Not too many cards can be able to draw here off of the Fusion Strike system. There's a lot of playable stuff, as well as a few cards that can't be utilized. But we're actually going to see the switch into Genesect to start things out. And it looks like just going to go ahead and pass a turn and say, hey, Mike, if you don't have boss's orders here, I might be able to put on a lot of pressure the following turn. It looks like we will see the Evolution Incense start things off. Grabs the Crobat VMAX the first time this card is coming into play. Not only see a lot of attack we haven't mentioned either, Stealth Poison. Does deal 70 damage. It has a cool effect where you hit and run, essentially. You deal 70, you go to a Pokemon on the bench, like a one-prize Pokemon you don't want to give up, and you get to poison the active, so it will take some damage, residual damage, over the time as well. So it looks like we are going to see Boss's Orders is in hand, and that's going to be big, able to bring up this Mew VMAX. And this game is looking very solid for Mike. Has the ability to knock this out, go down to 2 prize cards, and you had a Crobat VMAX already, or 1 prize card, excuse me, and Crobat VMAX is able to knock out essentially any Pokemon, especially if you can find some sort of a damage modifier, but it's exactly what you want to see from Mike. The game is going so much better because you're able to find the pieces. There's the knockout. Going down to 1 prize card, Azul's got to put something together, but with so many energy in play for Mike, it just seems so unlikely.
Yeah, it's really tough now from Azul's point where it's like, well, I just have these basically 3 threats that I can't really deal with, or at least, you know, I'm gonna leave 2 of them at best. You can see players, you can see Azul especially kind of playing really fast here, trying to determine, like, okay, if I'm going, like, how do I actually finish this game if I'm going to get there? Little under 10 minutes remaining.
Yeah, I think the only route for Azul that keeps him in this game is to first play that Alessa Sparkle in the hand, get 2 more Fusion Strike energy into play. Second, attach. He needs to have a he needs to have a way to pressure this Arceus. You can't use Melodious Echo, though, because there's already 3 energy in play. So attacking this Genesect is still possible in combination with a double Turbo Energy, but it's not enough to knock out the Arceus V-Star. You're just delaying the game another turn, and from there it just seems super weak. You'd have to find a way to maybe stall something up in the active, but it seems like doors are closing here for Azul. And this is crucial time. This is important time, because now we're under 10 minutes left in this game. And this is pretty early to be tying here. It's only round number 4. And yeah, Azul's just going to go and scoop things up. Very smart. I'm sure aware of the clock. It is still possible with you to finish the game up in 10 minutes, but it's going to be very difficult.
And imagine, I believe the players also have about a minute time extension for that power tablet issue, which is obviously not going to really change much. I mean, it's, you know, you can kind of look at the math, right? The round is 50 minutes long. Both of those games took about 20 minutes. Players are obviously going to liven their paces of play here. You know, those things can change a bit, but it's definitely not impossible if Azul has a great start, but a tie here would just be really disappointing from both players. You know, the tie, you want to get ties, you know, later. You want to get some IDs, some intentional draws later in the tournament. You know, it always when you're in the first half of the tournament, you pick up that loss or that tie, it never feels good.
No, not at all. You really want to be grinding through, trying to get to 6-0 as fast as possible. And both these players have had their fair share of successful regional runs. They know how it feels. They know the path to get there. As we're going to hopefully be getting into this game quite soon. It looks like Azul understands that clock is a big deal. Azul already has his deck shuffled up and ready, presented, and Mike doing the same. Neither of these players want to tie. They both have had a pretty strong game each. They both know that this matchup is winnable on their side. Same goal is in mind. But Kenny, we're going to game number 3. We can only have 1 winner or 2 players that draw.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think normally in a lot of these kind of matchups, take a look at the prizes here. A lot of damage modifiers there. That Elisa Sparkle just loves the prizes, loves to be in the prize cards on Azul's side. Taking a look at Mike Morton's prizes, we've got, you know, a lot of Pokemon search there, but more or less a normal assortment. But we are off here. Azul is going to go first. Just under 10 minutes left on the clock. Can these players complete this game? Looks like Quick Ball going to discard an Ultra Ball here.
Yeah, and for Mike to win that game, prizing all of those Pokemon, you've got to feel like, well, if that's possible in this matchup, then surely I have to be feeling good. But yeah, I mean, it can go both ways, of course.
Yeah, what I was going to say earlier is I think there's a lot of times where, not these specific cards, but like if you were Azul and you were playing against Mike and you say, wow, this guy has a deck that all my Pokemon are weak to, basically. Like, he believes at least that he's really favored. I think you would be kind of happy to pick up the tie in a lot of ways. Like, okay, I'm playing against this kind of counter deck, quote unquote. But I think in Azul's position, we've seen that. We've seen that Azul can absolutely win this game. We've seen that the darkness type Pokemon, just all that aggression from Mike isn't exactly enough to just completely dominate the Mew deck or anything. So Azul wants us win just as badly as Mike does.
Wow, and able to get 4 Pokemon into play without using a single battle VIP pass to start things out. Opting to grab the 3rd Genesect 2 in hand as well as a Meloetta. So we'll be getting 5 cards off of this first Fusion Strike system. Very solid stuff for Azul here to start things off.
Empty-handed. Now we're going to go back up to 5. That's the first Fusion Strike system. Remember, this is the very first turn of the game here, so no supporter for Azul, just a bunch of Fusion Strike systems.
Yeah, and it looks like not very many thinnable cards. Does have the switch, so can draw 1 card here. Actually opting to play another Power Tablet, and does find a quick ball, so we'll be able to get 1 more Pokemon, and that is important. Filling your bench up, you're drawing up to 6 instead of 5 every turn. It is a big deal, especially getting down a second Mew. We haven't been able to see Azul get this down too much in this set. It's a big deal to be able to string back and forth between these attackers. Azul had to take a turn off because there was no other Mew VMAX to power up.
It looks like we are going to see that last Fusion Strike system here.
It does have access to Cramomatic. I feel like the only card you would consider grabbing would be maybe a Fusion Strike Energy to be able to attack with the Meloetta the following turn, potentially for 280 damage. But you don't need to deal 280 damage. Arceus is going to have 220, but a Capture Energy to start things off on the active is a bit scary, especially if knockouts are completely possible in this matchup. It looks like Mike going to be able to utilize that Capture Energy's effect, allows it to its player to go ahead and search out any basic Pokemon, put it onto the bench, and it provides a Colorless Energy, which is perfect for this all-colorless attacking Pokemon. It is Arceus, has the Hoopa as well. This is what you want to be seeing. But at this point, it looks like Mike has to just burn the hand as much as possible to try to draw some cards on Crobat. And the last card in hand is a Path to the Peak.
Yeah, so we are going to see, as you said, that Crobat Dark Acid ability come into play, and then Mike is going to finish his turn with that path. So, had to choosing to kind of use some resources there, using that scoop up net, kind of emptying his hand down. But this is going to be it's going to end in a very good position here. Even if the Crobat, wasn't going to draw a full fresh hand, just ending with that path is very strong, and we'll see what the Crobat brings.
5 cards to Mike's hand, exactly what you want to see. Feels good to have that on turn 1 instead of the last game, but have to imagine looking for maybe another Arceus, some other options. Has some great cards for the following turn. I think that's an Arceus and 2 Arceus V-Star in the hand. So you can start to get those powered up. It looks like just debating, like, do I really value this spot for an Arceus? It feels good to have that option at worst for the following turn. And a Marnie Path, a combo we've seen a lot in this deck, is going to be big. Azul can't be too upset. There weren't too many playable cards, but there was the Stadium in hand, and that is a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. That the Marnie Path, the best disruptive element these decks have. Looks like we passed the turn. Back to Azul now. So no counter Stadium, but options here. Cramomatic. Oh, the Tails. And another one.
Surely.
Oh, and another Tails. And then, all right, Azul with a Marnie of his own.
That just feels so unfortunate. It kind of is luck catching up at that point. Really had some good successful flips game 2, but have to find a lot of pieces. It starts with a Stadium, and the last card there is a big-time rip. Finds the Stadium card. This is going to put Fusion Strike System back online. Has Rotom Phone. Azul's going to be able to start digging through this deck.
Yeah, it has used that supporter in that Marnie, so no Elisa Sparkle plays this turn, something to keep in mind from Azul. But is kind of firing on all cylinders now. Didn't quite see what the card off the Rotom Phone is, but it's going to be added to the hand shortly with a Fusion Strike system.
Looked like grabbed another Rotom Phone, so phone for phone.
The chain.
Yeah, that phone chainin'. As looks like, not the best cards there at all. Has 2 Escape Rope in hand. We'll be able to utilize this second Rotom Phone. Eyeing up a few cards. Ultra Ball is a nice grab, and we see Azul go ahead and put that at the top of the deck right away. There's a lot of pieces you want to thin out. You can grab your Mew VMAX and start hopefully attacking this turn.
Yes, that Ultra Ball is going to go on top of the deck. The one Fusion Strike system has been used. Second one is going to be used shortly, I imagine. We're going to play just the one power tablet before we draw 2 more cards. Those battle passes are going to be immediately discarded off the Ultra Ball, thinning down the hand, getting rid of unusable cards. And we do need that Mew VMAX now. So Azul, only one more Fusion Strike system left.
Yeah, only has access to draw up. Can potentially thin this hand down enough to be able to draw some cards with Rose Tower. It looks like considering a double escape rope play, and this will still work out fine. The Bidoof is most likely going to come into the active, and then from there, you've got even more options. It looks like that would have been really rewarding there.
Yeah, that would have been great, but he does decide to go with kind of the more, I think, standard play. Here's the Rose Tower.
Does find a quick ball, so can go ahead and draw up to 5 cards off of this Fusion Strike system. We'll have to see what the grab is. This is going to be big. Does Azul find a double turbo energy? Has not played any yet. We know there's none in the prize cards this game. So this is going to be a big time Fusion Strike system. Do we see it? Not quite. One more card.
And it was the last card.
Wow. Right. And because that Arceus came up without the big charm, that means this Mew is dealing enough damage with the one power tablet played. Azul, a big time find there, finds double turbo energy, taking the first 2 prizes as this game is winding down.
Yeah, we see. I'm not sure if the time on the clock is right here, but either way, we are at very low time here. Azul, that turn really showcased the power of Fusion Strike system, going through basically his entire deck, or it seems like it at least, finding the cards that he needed at the very last moment. Just some of the tension you can expect from these players at events like our regional championships here. Quick ball looks like getting a Crobat V from Mike's side here. Of course, that Rose Tower has been played, so abilities are fair game. But speaking of, it looks like he has another Path of the Peak in hand.
Path always likes to show up here, but it's going to be a big 3 cards. Do we see the Arceus V-Star? And the last card there from Mike's, again, some last card luck on his side as well. And that means we could see the Starbirth come out.
Yeah,
okay,
looks
smart, yeah.
Yeah, the hand didn't come off the card. Looks like Mike did remember to Starbirth first there. Very, very important. It is a V-Star power, but it is also an ability, so. But that's going to be fine. It's just going to be a little sequencing. It looks like time has been called now, so Mike is going to be turn 0.
Yeah, so on Mike's side, I don't think this game is possible to win. It is theoretically possible for Azul to win this game in 2 turns, but there have to have a lot of things be required. We need to be able to play 2 consecutive boss's orders. It is not possible this coming turn, because of Azul's prizes, to take a knockout onto this Arceus V-Star with a big charm. It's just not possible to deal 310 damage because you have 2 power tablets played already, a power tablet in the prize cards, and a choice belt in the prize cards as well. But that's not to say that boss's orders on some of these weaker Pokemon, like Crobat or Hoopa, are entirely possible.
And we see the Path of Marnie just thrown onto the board. I think some of the body language here signifying how the players are feeling about this moment here. Never a good feeling to tie, especially to tie a good matchup on Mike's side. Of course, Azul still has the kind of the miracle run here, theoretically, as you said. But yeah, I believe with time being called on Mike's turn, that means he is not going to be able to actually close out this game.
Yes, these would be a big 4 cards for Azul. And just making sure everything is good on the end. Wow, that is big. Stadium energy and a Chromatic as well to dig through the deck potentially.
Wow.
That's the start to the puzzle pieces here for Azul. Mike, again, you have to just kind of throw these Pokemon up in the active and say, I guess I'm taking knockouts, I'm slowing you down, but I'm making it very difficult for you to take prizes. Arceus V-Star with a big charm, a great start, but it's going to be on Azul here. That's what we're looking at. That's who all eyes are on. Azul has potential to win. Mike will let minimum be walking away, potentially, at maximum rather, 1 match point. You really don't want to lose. Every match point matters, Kenny.
Absolutely. So we do see that hand from Azul does have the replacement stadium. It does have the Cramomatic. I think the top deck was a choice belt there. So Azul really just has kind of one path to victory. It starts with getting rid of Mike's path there with the Path of the Peak. But just as you said, it's going to require consecutive boss's orders to take 2 prizes in 2 prize chunks here over both this turn and Azul's last turn of the game.
Yeah, and the targets that are brought up on boss's orders are very important. Being able to not get the Hoopa this turn is going to be a big deal because otherwise you get rid of your damage modifiers, already has them in hand. It looks like eyeing up, potentially getting rid of the choice belt or the power tablet. They provide the same usage in this situation, especially if you are attacking with this Mew VMAX, but we also have the double turbo energy. There's a lot of options, but I have to feel like maybe getting a Fusion Strike energy down means that you can just knock out anything that comes into the active, but we are instead going to see the choice belt go onto the active, and this is going to be the doors opening for Azul. Has plenty of ways to draw cards, has plenty of ways to find pieces, and this is where things are going to get interesting.
First Fusion Strike system here, drawing 4 new cards.
Wow. They were almost all unplayable cards. This is a big fun flip here.
Big Cramomatic and another Tails for Azul.
Yeah, so has the second Fusion Strike system looking for a switching card in a boss's orders. There's the boss, a Cramomatic, and an Oricorio. This may just have to be another 1 card off of this Fusion Strike system to close this turn out.
Yeah, no cards to discard there.
And yeah,
oh, wow.
Wow. Very unfortunate there for Azul. Does not have the ability to attack with this Mew VMAX again this turn. We'll just have to retreat into the Genesect. And at this point, Mike will be turn 2, Azul will be turn 3. Neither player can take more than 4 prize cards. There's no sort of combo in Azul's deck. No 4 prize Pokemon that exist in this format. And we'll see Mike play the turn out, try to take a knockout onto this Genesect. But we both know the result of this game. It will most likely end in a tie.
Looks like we are still going to see the players play boss's orders. Brings up that Mew with the choice belt on it and all the damage. Players also might be saying, well, you know, let's see how far we can get into this game. You know, who would have won if there were another couple of turns? Obviously, that's a little nebulous because actions change based on time and such. You know, the game may have not gone exactly the same way, but we are into the very second to last turn of this game.
It looks like we are going to actually see the Stealth Poison from the Crobat. First time I've seen that on stream, so this is a very quirky attack on the Crobat. That hit and run deals a little bit of damage, but with the weakness on Mew VMAX, it will be enough as Palpad. Going to shuffle the supporter cards back in. We'll not have another turn to play them, unfortunately, but seeing some unique attacks we don't get to see on a lot. It's always fun to see that on stream.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's nice to showcase the you know, Mew VMAX deck, really the top deck of the format, or at least the most played deck of the format, and then this Crobat VMAX kind of, you know, non-standard, but not exactly rogue or anything like that, Arceus build.
Absolutely, and there it is, the Stealth Poison for the knockout. Will bring up a 1 prize Pokemon that's not as much of a liability or importance. Mike's going to go down to 3 prize cards. This is the final turn of time, so either Azul will play things out, or at worst, we'll see just the handshake be extended for a draw. As long as we are on the same page when it comes to prizing stuff, yeah, we'll see the retreat Oricorio, the pass, and yep,
we're just going to see the fist bump, the 2022 handshake there. Unfortunate that this game could not close out, but I think there's still a lot to take away from this game, or this match rather. I mean, we got to see both, you know, 2 great players really prove that either deck can win this sort of matchup, and really prove that, you know, how just decision heavy and skill based these matchups can be. You know, Azul, I mean, how many decisions do we think per turn Azul made, especially in those tight spots, right? That may seem silly when the decision you're making is, you know, discard with Cramomatic and hit Tails, but there's just so many little things that you have to do in order to play the Mew VMAX deck at a truly elite level. And I think Azul did them all fantastic that game.
Yeah, sequencing was on point. I don't think I disagree with any lines that he took, and there should be no question at that point. He is one of the best players we've seen in the history of this game. Truly a spectacle to watch, and Mike as well, piloting the deck well. It's not maybe as necessarily decision heavy. You kind of just are you're playing path to beat down, you're marning your opponent, you're powering up your Pokemon. But sometimes, as we've seen in the Pokemon trading card game, an important lesson